Not gonna lie, when I started using the ROG Phone 3, I had my doubts. Not about whether it's good or not, it was more about how good can it possibly be. I mean, the ROG Phone 2 was excellent. Of course, on paper, if you see, most of the hardware have been upgraded, but practically, will I have a noticeably better experience? Even if I do, will it be enough to justify the price tag of 50,000 rupees for this phone? That's the doubt I had. And the answer to that is, watch the full video. My name is Ashwin Sundar. This is Technology Jock. Let's get started. A quick disclaimer, I'm gonna be focusing more on my experience with the phone because there's just so much to talk about as it is, and reading out the specs is just a waste of time. Moreover, talking about the experience will actually help you decide better whether you should buy the phone or not. Speaking of buying, you know what you should definitely buy, like right away? These skins from our sponsor, Capes India. Capes makes these wonderful skins for a lot of devices, including smartphones, cameras, laptops, and so on. They don't add any noticeable bulk or weight to the phone, but still do a great job protecting it from scratches and dents. Recently, they introduced these new camo skins, which look absolutely fantastic, and the best part is, the price is the same as their other regular skins. So definitely check out Capes India, link in the description. Use the coupon code TJOCK to get 10% discount. Now, I'm not a hardcore mobile gamer, so all my opinions and thoughts are from a unique gamer plus non-gamer perspective. If you're a relatively new subscriber here on Technology Jock, it's worth mentioning that I loved the ROG Phone 2. There were some minor shortcomings, but overall it was a fantastic package. And my favorite thing about the phone was it made me play PUBG and Call of Duty more than I usually do. It made me spend at least an hour every day on Call of Duty. And after I switched to other phones, I just got back to my old routine of playing games only for testing purpose. And the ROG Phone 3 has done it again. I spent quite a lot of time playing multiple games. There's just so much packed in here for a gamer, and the best thing is, most of those features come in handy even when you're not gaming at all. The touch latency, for instance, let's begin with that. 25 milliseconds, that's insane. Android phones, including flagships, have always had terrible latency, and the ROG Phone 2 had around 50 milliseconds latency, which is already quite fast, and this one is twice as fast. The 270Hz touch sampling rate helps too. Sampling rate means the number of times the display looks for your touch. In this case, it's 270 times every second. Benefiting from these are not just PUBG and Call of Duty, but any game that requires quick reflex response and multiple touches. Let's take Headball 2 for example. This is my forte, and just notice how fast-paced this gameplay is. And yes, while latency and sampling rate are primarily focused on better gameplay, they do improve the overall experience outside of gaming as well. From my 10 years of experience, I can tell you this is the fastest I have been able to type on a smartphone. One more thing, the awesome ultrasonic air triggers. Loved using them on the ROG Phone 2, and they've been upgraded with faster latency again. Basically, there are 3 touch-sensitive ultrasonic buttons on the sides. You can just tap on them and they work flawlessly. For non-gamers, you can just squeeze the bottom half of the phone to trigger an action, and for gamers, the use case is obvious. You can just go berserk on your enemies. If you want a more local explanation, you can go Amuga Dumuga Amal Dumal on your enemies. Asus offers an interesting customization feature here. You can divide each air trigger into 2 triggers, so you can have 4 actions mapped to them. For example, look at the left air trigger. I'm using the right half for aim and the left half for crouch. You can also swipe to trigger another action, And the refresh rate is 144 Hz. Of course, a lot of popular games still don't support 90 FPS gameplay, let alone 144 Hz. I think PUBG will have it once it's made available in India again, but I don't think it will be back in India again soon. Among the games I tried, Headball 2 supports 144 FPS, and oh my god, the gameplay is fantastic. I switched to another phone now which has a 60 Hz display, and going from 144 to 60, it almost feels like it's lagging, even though it's running at rock solid 60 FPS. And of course, the 144 Hz refresh rate is wonderful to use even if you're not a gamer. I'll be honest, I could barely notice a difference between 120 Hz and 144, but yeah, it's there and it's nice. Yet another gaming focused feature is the USB Type-C port on the side. In my 1 month of usage, I found myself charging while gaming only a couple of times. But still, it's a nice thing to have. And for non-gamers, this is useful in case they want to use wired earphones or headphones while charging, which is again pretty rare though. And if you're wondering why I'm using an adapter, it's because Asus got rid of the 3.5mm headphone jack, which is not appreciable at all, given that it's a huge phone and there is probably enough space to accommodate the jack. Anyway, for what it's worth, the adapter is included in the box. Now, along with the Type-C port on the side, there is a proprietary connector which supports a slew of gaming accessories. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my hands on any of them, but long time back, I had a chance to try them out. The concepts are actually super cool, but here's the thing. These accessories made more sense back when the ROG One was launched, maybe even 2, because the air triggers had average latency. You couldn't divide them into 2 like you can do on this phone. There was no slide function. But right now, the phone itself offers a ton of controls, customizable controls, so you wouldn't be missing out on much even if you're just using the phone and not buying any of the accessories. Of course, the accessories still serve the enthusiasts who like to spice everything up a notch. Moreover, most of the accessories for the ROG Phone 2 are also compatible with the ROG Phone 3, which is great. The side USB port is not just any Type-C port, it's a 3.1 Gen 2 port. It can output videos up to 4K resolution, like you can connect it to your 4K TV or monitor. It also supports Quick Charge 4.0. The bottom one supports Quick Charge 3.0 and Power Delivery 3.0 apart from Asus's own 30-watt HyperCharge. Asus's solution is the fastest of all three, but it's nice to see support for multiple charging standards here. This means you don't necessarily have to carry the charger that came with the phone for fast charging. You won't need one anyway, given that the battery life has been good. Now, most of the time I was using the phone at 144 Hz setting, and the phone lasted 1 full day even on heavy usage. Remember, Headball 2 runs at 144 FPS and Call of Duty runs at solid 60 FPS at the highest graphics setting. This is, after all, the best performing phone, the fastest phone. So considering that, the battery life has been pretty good. I did switch to 60 Hz for a couple of days. It's not meant to be used at 60 Hz, but still, in that case, the phone lasted about 2 days on a single charge, almost 2 days. 90 Hz is kind of the sweet spot. You get a reasonably smooth experience and moderately long battery life too. By the way, the brightness was set to about 60 to 70% most of the time, and because most of the time I've been spending time at home and indoors, that's kind of the brightness level that I prefer. Speaking of brightness, there is some bad news. Now, granted, this is a great panel. Full HD plus AMOLED display with a delta E of less than 2, which is rare among smartphones. What that means is that the colors are super accurate. HDR content looks fantastic, but there is this black crush issue which affects the experience. It's not uncommon to see black crush issue at less than 10 or 20% brightness, but over here you can notice it even at 40 to 50% brightness. Like as we speak, I'm able to see it and the brightness level is around 60%. So during that transition, you can notice some bleeding as well. And once you push that brightness slider beyond a point, the blacks become kind of faded, which impacts the contrast. You cannot see that deep AMOLED black anymore, so the perception of the other colors changes as well. But truth be spoken, this is quite noticeable only at the lowest brightness levels and only when the screen content itself is very dark. So many of you might not find it to be a big deal, especially because the panel itself is gorgeous. Just like the OnePlus 8 Pro, panel is great but comes with certain issues or limitations. So do go to a store or something, try it out for a few minutes before deciding. I'm not even sure if it's available offline. Anyway, along with the huge display, we've got these amazing stereo speakers for a good immersive experience. They get super loud and clear thanks to 2 dedicated amplifiers, and the channel separation is also excellent. You really get to feel like which speaker is actually playing which sound. So yeah, overall, whatever we've seen so far is great for gamers and non-gamers alike. Okay, almost alike. Even the design has been toned down to appeal to the non-gamer audience. Okay, it still very much looks like a gaming phone, but slightly less so than the ROG Phone II. The build quality is similar, Gorilla Glass 6 metal body. The weight is 240 grams, which is probably the only major drawback for non-gamers. Another possible drawback is the camera performance. The main sensor has been upgraded to Sony IMX686 sensor, and there is a new 5 megapixel macro camera as well. Although I don't really find it very useful. I prefer using the main camera to click a regular image and then cropping in. That works better. And the third camera is a 13 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, which is the same one you find on the ROG Phone II. So that's a bit of a bummer. But unless you zoom in too much, you'll probably be happy with the results. The software processing is excellent. That was the case with the ROG Phone II as well. The color rendering was excellent. Beautiful colors, great dynamic range and contrast, even in some challenging conditions like this, like right against the sun. Low light images are okay. Fortunately, there is night mode for both main and ultra wide cameras, so that makes a huge difference. And yeah, Asus has also casually included support for 8K video recording. That's nuts. The ultra-wide camera can shoot 4K videos. By the way, this phone has 4 microphones. They can record spatial audio. All you need to do is enable this. It sounds really good. Kind of reminds me of Nokia's Ozo Audio. If you remember, that was very cool. Another cool thing is, in case your hands are covering some microphones, the phone automatically switches to whichever microphone that you're not covering. Like while gaming and stuff, you tend to accidentally close a couple of microphones, so the remaining 2 microphones come into play. Next up, software. This is where you do all the customizations. Asus have really put a lot of effort into building this interface. The Armory Crate app lets you customize everything from sliding sensitivity, touch sensitivity, performance, air triggers, and so on. You just need to be a little patient, but everything is easy to understand. But of course, if you don't want to fiddle too much with these, you can set everything to auto. And when it comes to the UI itself, here and there you could notice a couple of bugs, but they haven't been too much of a hindrance to my good experience with the phone. Now, overall, you get Gorilla Glass 6, Snapdragon 865 Plus, 12 GB RAM, 8K video recording. These are the big stuff. But look at the other stuff. 144 Hz refresh rate, 25 milliseconds touch latency, RGB notification LED. This RGB logo can also be customized for notifications. UFS 3.1 storage, support for multiple charging standards, 2 USB Type-C ports, one of them being USB 3.1 Gen 2, Bluetooth 5.1, aptX adapter for Bluetooth audio. Speaking of which, I've tried 3 pairs of Bluetooth headphones and all of them sounded noticeably better when paired with the ROG Phone III compared to pretty much all the phones I used in the past few months. Basically, if you own a good pair of headphones, they would sound slightly better while paired with these. So these are things you cannot just ignore, right? Just because it's a gaming phone. But of course, there are some limitations on the display and camera fronts that might hold you back from getting one of these. So for a non-gamer, it's not a blind pick. It's not a deal of the decade, but for mobile gamers, it surely is. I mean, the ROG Phone 2 was next level value for money, and that kind of value is something we will probably never see again in the smartphone industry, given the Indian rupee depreciation, GST hike, and of course the impact of coronavirus. Despite everything, the ROG Phone 2 was still selling at the same 38,000 rupees a few months back, but sadly the entire stock has been depleted. So I guess if you want to get your hands on the ROG phone, it must be the ROG Phone 3. So that's pretty much it. I know I didn't really go deep into certain aspects of the phone. It's already been like, what, 15 minutes? So I'll do one thing. If you have any doubts or queries regarding something I haven't covered in detail, and if it's something you really want to know in order to decide whether to buy the phone or not, let me know in the comments. Post your question in the comments. I'll try to answer them. So that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye and take care.